So we like to talk to partners of all types. We have those who have started from the get-go and been 20 years into merchant services. We have those who are started in financial sales and then moved into merchant services. And we have those who, like our guest today, Robert Staschak, came from selling ATMs and other things. We'll talk about that to merchant services, and we'll talk about that journey and what it looks like and how all the things, the ins and outs and journey, all right here on office hours. But it's not just me. In fact, I'm going to bring all three of us up here but we'll introduce first Mr. Mike Stetzel, and I'll have him introduce Robert. Mike, how is life in Warsaw, Indiana? We just did a live yesterday that YouTube kind of cut
We
us out
did.
for, so we'll do that. But tell us, you're wearing a Cubs jersey. Tell me something great about the Cubs, because
Oops, wrong side.
we'll get you full screen. Tell me something great about the Cubs, because the wild card starts next week and we're back in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's it. We're back in the playoffs, and we are solidly back in the playoffs. We did not have to wait until the next to last game of the season this year. This was over a week ago that we clinched, and without jinxing us, I'd say this team's firing on all cylinders, and some bonus things there as well. So here's to whatever that wild card brings, and a good competitive fight. Uh, as we were talking to Robert just a little bit ago, he's from the area, repping our potential opponent. One of the potential opponents in this is the Philadelphia Phillies, and he is from that area. Not a sports fan as far as that goes, but want to welcome Robert Stashek, somebody I've known for a couple of years now, gotten to meet in person. Both Nate and I have gotten to spend some time together having some fun, getting to know each other a little bit. And welcome to one of our series here of bringing, as Nate said, different people to the spotlight.
Thank you for having me on today.
All right, Robert, let's start with this, and Mike and I will go back with some questions, but let's kind of do like the personal, you don't have to give us all, no, personal information, PIN stuff, but more of, where you're from. Tell us about where your family and kind of your work history of how you got to merchant
Yeah.
services.
I graduated from college back in December of 2000 with my MIS degree. And in March of 2001 was the big tech implosion, where everybody in the technology field it was a terrible time. And long story short, I started in the ATM world in like 2001, 2002 through one of my friends. And that was a great ride for up until probably 4 or 5 years ago, where it was great. We had our own ISO company. The residuals were great, and it was just a great business to be into. But time has changed, and cash it anymore nowadays is not what it used to be, and the market and everything is changing over to the credit card world here. So for me, switching over to the credit card merchant processing side was just a natural move for me, that you're moving from one business to another, that you're still in the payment business here, dealing with companies with getting money into their business from their customers.
Yeah. I'll back that. My one shot of you is a little closer than I want it to be, so I'll fix that here in a second. I was realizing.
Oh, okay.
At
First I was like, did you lean into the camera, Robert? No, that's all my fault. So those who are watching live, thank you for watching live, and know that he was not leaning into the camera. That was me. I need to change the aspect ratio, so I'll do that in a second here.
Okay.
So interesting thing I was thinking of that. So you were starting to sell ATMs that was all in the Southeast Pennsylvania, greater Philadelphia area?
Yeah, Central PA, Philadelphia region. And so it's just a great time. Early 2000 was a great time, absolute best time you could have got into the business, because back then checks were a huge thing. And
mm-hmm.
and then companies and bars were having to deal with bounced checks, bad checks. And so here the ATM world came along and said, hey, you can stop taking checks, and we'll put these machines in here, and you don't ever have to worry about that anymore with bounced checks. We're having a wall of shame with checks that bounce for other members to see until they were paid up.
Like, yeah, and
Yeah.
And I don't know much about the ATM industry because by the time I got into merchant services, it was already on the trailing end. We have a sister company, and I know there are lots of our partners who either come from ATMs or still do some of the ATMs. What is similar and what is different on the compensation side of ATMs? How you make money through residuals and or bonuses versus how we do it on the payments, on the credit card processing, debit card processing side.
In the ATM world, there's no bonuses for sign on for when you get a new location. There's no sign on bonus. The residuals are what you make every month here off the terminals. Whereas what I was doing back then was I was the one out there filling the machines. So I was out there every week filling machines. I had at one point 70 or something like that machines I was filling here every week.
Mm.
And so for me, it was a great job when I was doing it. But just over time, a lot of competition came into it, and the market just went south here.
Right. Well, and so as people are using um, ATMs less, your compensation was based on everything. Every time that little fee pops up on a non-network
Correct.
ATM, you're making a portion of that's coming in. So the less they use it, the less. And so, uh, so as you're finding that there is a diminishing return on the ATMs, what brought, and Mike, jump in here. I've dominated the questions now,
Sure.
but what brought you, and how did you start thinking, man, I could switch over to some merchant services? There's some opportunities there.
I looked into it probably 6, 7 years ago, but back then I was just too busy with ATMs to really be able to pursue the merchant services. But probably it's January will be 3 years since I got into it here with you guys, and it was just like I was saying before, it was a natural move for me because you're dealing with
Yeah.
basically the same companies and more companies, whereas you're helping them get the money from the customers into their business.
Yep.
And I just find that the merchant services side is so much easier than the credit or the dealing with the ATMs, because the ATM side, things can happen. People jam up the machines. They'd put stuff in the card readers. They would unplug it. There was always something going on. Whereas here on the merchant services side, you have none of those worries or concerns.
That's a great point. Kind of going back to you talking about filling the machines. Like I realized after talking to my local PNC, they don't even handle their own outside ATMs anymore. They have a service to it because I don't know if it's for safety or what it was, but the other day I used it. I put in $40 or something and I got like 380. They eventually took the money back because I was honest and went inside and told them. But I was just thinking about what you were talking about because you had a lot of clubs, you told me, as your customers. And so these
Yeah,
private clubs would have a lot of gambling activities that had to be paid for with cash. So I'm picturing you
correct,
driving around in your car with a ton of money. And to me,
correct.
that lays out a whole nother thing. Was that something that was risky? Or I mean, I'm just curious how if that was part of what got you out, but it's probably also what made you more money because they had to pay you for that service then.
For me, it never bothered me to be driving around with a very large sum of cash because I looked like any other person out there on the street. Whereas
Mm,
when you go into the bank or other places, you can see when they're filling machines, they have armed security, and but whereas me, I could just walk in there. I look like any other person there, and once you know how to do it, you can knock it out in like 30 seconds. So you're
that's
in and out
a good point.
before anyone really knew what you were doing.
And to float that cash for the weekend. Um, anyway,
And
Yeah,
the,
I'm glad. I personally, I don't want to have to carry and or float or any of those things when it comes to cash. So I'm glad that we don't do that.
yeah.
What obviously there are um, overlaps to the industry of being ATMs. ATMs are in places where also they accept credit cards a lot of times, though.
mhm.
What synergies have you found as you've crossed over from selling predominantly and only ATMs to now selling merchant services?
I find that they were very similar, and when you're talking to the bars and clubs, that it's just you're dealing with. It seems like there's always new management coming in, and there's a lot of politics, and it's just like having to stay well connected with the people in charge here.
So now that you've done this for almost 3 years, what have you developed as sort of your niche, your method of contacting people, your way of just what's your game plan now? How do you handle your day to day? I guess that's kind of what I've really enjoyed hearing from the 4 or 5 different people we've had on here now that have various types of experience. And so I want to hear what you're doing so that our partners can hear it as well. Hear something different.
For I've been focusing a lot on the auto repair business, but from I'm starting to venture out into new markets here, into different verticals, because it's you need to be expanded, because that's one thing I ran into with the ATM world is like I was too narrowly focused, and when you're too narrowly focused, that market can go away, and if it does go away, it can go away fast. So it's like you have to be spread yourself out among different industries here. And so within the last probably 8 months, I joined up with a couple of good networking groups here in the Philadelphia region, and I should have done that earlier because
Hmm.
it's been giving me a lot of really good exposure to new industries and new people to be able to build connections with here.
I know that you've done that, and just yesterday or the day before you were listing 4 or 5 leads that you're working that are strictly from the one group. Um, and I don't think either of your groups is strictly a BNI by name type group, but are there types of names, or are these just clubs where like-minded people have pulled together to share leads, or how would you consider these organizations?
The group I belong to is a free trade group here in Philadelphia. They have probably 20 different chapters here in the Philadelphia,
Hmm.
Delaware, New Jersey region, and it's kind of like a BNI light. It's not as strict, or as BNI was very strict. Whereas like if you
Hmm.
missed a meeting, 2 meetings in a row, you were gone. Here, this is a lot more laid back, casual, but it's also a lot more. People aren't as they're more relaxed here about it. Whereas BNI was just I years ago.
Oh, I think we lost your
I think
audio
we
there. We
lost some
see you.
volume there, Robert.
Yeah, we hear you or see you moving your lips, but we don't hear you. So I'm not sure what
Yeah, are
happened there.
you are you muted?
Not muted. So maybe
Okay.
I'm not sure. All right, so we're going to riff for a second. Robert, what I want you to do is log out and log back in if you can hear us. So, because we know we can hear you, Mike's going to text you. I'm going to jump over here while we figure this out. I'm going to put myself on. For those who are watching, we were kind of talking about these networking groups. I actually joined a BNI in 2020, just to kind of learn how it works. The ripple effect here in Indianapolis works. Originally was meeting very close to my house, and they moved further away. And the thing about these networking is you've got to get one that fits you. Like as soon as
Yeah.
we got out of the Zoom world of these, what I didn't realize about the one I was joining in these networking groups is they were mostly people that were selling direct to consumer, didn't have much business connections. So they could, if I was selling a consumer good, they'd give me all kinds of it, but they didn't give me a lot of opportunities to be able to connect with things. All right, let me see if I can make this work here. So we're going to bring this back
Oh,
up. All right, Robert, do you hear us?
okay. Now I hear
There we
you.
go. Cool.
Then we hear you.
You're
All
on a
right.
roll too, man. You were saying it wasn't as strict as BNI because they have a lot of rules, and so you're just saying it's more relaxed. I think that's about where you were.
Yeah, and they have every week. They always have different events or different not different meetups where group wide. Like last night, there was probably 6 or 7 different chapters. Next Wednesday, they're having another meeting on a Wednesday night social get together with the 3 chapters, and so it's just where everyone's getting to know each other really well, and there's a lot of referrals that are flowing that way here. And I've been going every week. I need to cut back here because for the last month I've been going to 3 different meetings a week here, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And so that's been great for getting new connections and a whole lot of new leads. But next week I'm going to be starting to go back out and doing a lot of prospecting door to door here again.
Yeah.
So it was just for a short time I was needing a little break, the recharge and refocus, and but next week it's going to be back out there doing the door to door, which that's the thing I one of the things I really love doing.
Well, sorry, go ahead. Are you good, Nate? Or
Go for it. You go.
okay.
I've got.
Yeah, one of the things that Robert was able to do to help us out in a new partner, and I encourage, anytime that we can make this happen, we will. Sometimes it's geographically difficult, but there was a new partner, again, same person we were talking about yesterday, Nate, who lives within an hour of Robert, and he was willing to get in the car, drive to see Robert, and spend a day shadowing him. This agent has plenty of sales experience, but not in this industry, and he really just wanted to see how somebody did it. And if we can ever, make that happen for people, we have willing people like Robert to say, yeah, come along, let's go, let's have fun. So any thoughts on that, Robert? I know we talked about it a little bit, but any thoughts?
Yeah, it was fun meeting up with Jeff. I believe it's 2 weeks ago now, but that was good to be able to go out there in the field with somebody and just be able to talk back and forth here and just explain what's going on, get their opinion, what they think, and see
Hmm.
how they can do out there. And
Yeah, and
just
Jeff
having
said
that
he was.
All right.
Sorry, Robert.
good connection of being able to work with someone, it just makes the job a lot more fun.
Yeah. Well, one of the questions, Robert, we've been in person with you twice this year, and you've gone to 2 of the acquiring shows. You came over to Atlantic City, a little closer, the Northeastern Acquiring Show, and then you came down to SCAA, where we had a little more of an event. Can you talk about
Hmm.
good, bad, and ugly? Are you completely be honest with us? The value of going those, being around other people, what you've learned coming to those 2 shows, and would you recommend it for other partners?
Going into like I wasn't really, my wife wasn't sure, and I was like, I don't know. It's like, but after going to those 2 shows, I thought they were both very good and very educational. That I know that it's like how that a lot of people think it's like, oh, this is a really easy job to do out there, that there's nothing to do, but there's actually uh, a lot that's going on in the
Hmm.
background and things that most people, or actually most people, have no idea about what's going on here. And then just meeting up with other people out there to be able to work with them, pick their brains, and just be able to talk back and forth. And it was a very good experience going to both of those. And next year I'm looking to go again here up to Boston and then down to Miami.
Awesome. Well, so tell me a little bit about Robert over the last, as you've been in the merchant side of industry for a couple of years now. How has your pitch changed? How has your follow-up changed?
Hmm.
How things that have improved, things you wished you knew 2 years ago that you now know now, things that you're contemplating change. Tell me a little bit about what things have changed as you're approaching merchants and starting to pitch your services.
It's just a lot more of a natural flow when you're talking to people, and you can anticipate what they're going to be saying and having appropriate replies back or comebacks to what they say here. And just nowadays, I have, like, the night before or day before, I always have notes of what I'm looking to be doing tomorrow, who I'm going to be hitting up here, what areas. So it's just not going out there blind the next day here. So I have a game plan for the next day as to where, and then also in my calendar, I always have is like people I have to follow up with. I have on my calendar, I have time, it's like call so and so. And then on my to do list, I have for make sure I call so and so here, because when you're out there, you're busy and you'll forget stuff. So it's like I find I have to have multiple reminders just so people, if you don't follow up with people, the deals aren't going to happen.
Yep. Yeah, follow up is people don't usually. There are a lot of people that swear they have the 1 minute close and they walk out and the person's up and running and processing.
Hmm.
But the fact is, most of us think that's probably not true. There, though I will admit there is
It
one
can
agent in our
happen.
world that is really on the phone. He does do he closed a 1 call close. I still haven't figured out it because I have recordings of them. I haven't figured out the science. But for all of us, it's about follow up. It's about going through the motions. It's about learning, getting better each time you make a pitch to a similar type business, learning from one business to the other. As you're continue to grow your business, Robert, what are some of your goals personally for yourself right now that you're looking to? You said, hey, I'm going to go to NEAA and SEA next year. I'm going to invest in myself those ways. What are some things that you also are looking to do to invest in yourself and to be part of help your business grow?
Just keep learning as much as I can, because there's so much change that's going on that if you don't stay up to date here, you'll fall behind before you know it. And even when you think you know it all, you don't. And so that's the one thing I like about you guys here is I don't know the answer to everything, but I tell people I have a team behind me that does know the answer. So it's just trying to learn as much as you can and always be willing to keep learning here, because there's always something more or a better way to do something here.
Awesome. There is it's a continual learning curve. There's always something to learn, and as you move from vertical to vertical, there's even there are the throughput that Visa and MasterCard are what we're accepting is there, but every business is so different, how they do their business and how we interact and how we connect with them. Mike, we'll go one more question here as we hit about the 25-minute mark today.
Absolutely. Tell us a little about home. What do you do? I think we all three on this call have some similarities in our home life, but yeah, tell us about your family and what all you guys like to do. Just a little bit about you personally, whatever you're willing to share.
Well, kind of typical family here. The wife's she's a nurse practitioner. Both of my boys are in seventh grade and ninth grade here. Uh, I know you guys are really big into professional sports, whereas myself, I'm more into the middle school and high school sports. The like both my boys, they're really big into basketball. The one's really big into cross country. So I just really enjoy the aspects of the youth sports a lot here. And for vacation wise, we've gone to Mexico, Cancun quite a few times. We love Florida, going to Disney, and that's kind of us in a nutshell here.
Awesome. Yeah, and there is nothing like youth sports, and you're
We've all been down
oh
that road, yes.
yeah, and I will say middle school got a county meet for my seventh grader and cross country this Saturday. It's all about the next event when it comes to the middle school sports, and it's all and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of fun to have. Robert, as we close, my last question is, what would you say to a partner that's just starting out with PayProTec or just in merchant services? What would be your first advice to them to help them lay a foundation to success as they start their journey in merchant services?
Hmm.
Have a good support team behind you, and don't be afraid to ask lots of questions. That's what they're there for, is to help answer your questions, because if you can get your answers questions, you can go out there and be a successful salesperson here. And so just utilize all the resources that are made available to you,
Awesome.
that you don't have to do this yourself, that you have a team behind you.
Right. Well, and that's, and that you keep one step after another. And sometimes it's going
Hmm.
to be 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, but there's so much growth and opportunity. And there's so many people that are willing to help each other. I think one of the things I've
Mm-hmm.
watched, like I remember you had just met up with Jeremy at I think a Chamber of Commerce event when we had dinner in Atlantic City. And I don't even think we had all made all the connect, but there's so many people are willing to help each other. And,
Hmm.
and it doesn't all have to be, it's not, all about trying to win business all the time. There's plenty of business out there, and we can help each other and help each other grow and help each other with new strategies. And not all of it's going to be perfect, but we can all move together. Mike, any closing words or questions you want to ask before we close off here
No,
on this office hours?
that's another great example of just partnering with somebody, that if Jeremy has something that Robert can help with in his area, why not?
Yeah.
We all want to make a little bit, and yeah, it's awesome. And I know that Robert and Jeremy still chat periodically, and so yeah, it's just fun to see those things come about because of those meetings. And I know that you having met some partners, uh, and Alan, another partner of ours, having met several people like Robert, just has really grown conversations for them. We're seeing it happen more and more now as more people become active and follow up with each other after meeting each other at these meetings or after having a phone call because they're introduced by one of us. So again, feel free to lean on us for those types of things, and also come to an event. I know it costs you a hotel room, maybe pick the one that's close to you. There's 4 spread around the country. So there should be something equally, close to you as anybody else.
Yep.
Yeah, as like I said, I wasn't sure going into it what I was really going to get out of it, but it was just in the end, I thought they were very well worth going to because there's a lot to learn, and just making those connections with other people out there, that this is a kind of a small industry and that everybody knows
Hmm.
everybody. And if you know people, they're willing to help you and you'll help them. So everybody's able gain from it.
Awesome. Well, let me jump in, do a couple closing words. Next Wednesday on October 1st, 1 p.m. You should get an email tomorrow. We're putting the final pieces together. It's something I'm going to work on finishing this afternoon, but we're doing a series. And so what you could do right now, we're going to do a several weeks of some content with Danny and Jason Lee. We putting some new pieces of content. We're still going to have office hours, still going to have POS Uncensored, but this first one is specifically targeted to how to make your first $100,000 in this industry. And we're going to talk about the strategies, the different ways you can do it. We're actually going to put a roadmap, a blueprint, as we're calling it, that you can actually say, hey, I can make this. But whether you've already made hundreds of thousands of dollars, or I think you'll find something practical. So make sure you join. And so one, you'll have an opportunity to register, but the other way you can just join, or this is going to be live on YouTube. The link is already there in our YouTube lives. And so one, like this post right now, this YouTube live right now, then make sure you're subscribed, put the bell, make sure you're getting all the notifications, and then just click over on our channel on the live and you'll see that it's coming up next Wednesday, and just say notify me. That's one way you can already do it. Plus you're going to get the email and text messages over the next couple days. Register and we'll make sure you're there. We really want you to be there live. Of course you'll be able to watch it afterwards. It'll be a great time. I want to thank Robert Staschak for joining us today. Thank you so much for taking out of your time. I like it when you guys get good connections on your car because it's kind of fun. You got life and cars passing in the background versus myself in my basement studio here and Mike in his studio up in Warsaw. We like to see that, hey, signs of life. This is all going out there. You're out in the road and doing it. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank everybody for watching this. We'll see you next time in office hours. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Robert. We'll see you guys.
Okay, thank you for having me on.
See ya.